Let me start by mentioning that I truly admire and honor what young people and faculty members around the world are doing by putting themselves at the forefront of rejecting the serious crimes that are being committed against the Palestinian people and calling to their universities for accountability and transparency. This is why I am and will be holding meetings with students from various universities in the US, in the United Kingdom, France, the Netherlands, and Germany for now. These meetings aim three objectives, basically. One, to learn firsthand about the specific situation to help me inform my actions and those of the other colleagues and the special procedures at the UN. In the short, medium term, to establish a series of recommendations to universities, governments, and other actors in order to ensure that after the summer holidays, the action of solidarity movement can be resumed without reprisals, as well as a call for accountability on what had happened in the previous months. And in the longer term, to set the basis for a deeper analysis, to identify what are the factors that may be creating a hostile environment for the exercise of the rights of assembly and association in the educational system. I have not finished yet the first round of interviews, but based in the allegations received, I can mention some common trends that I have found by now. And these are trends that are based on the analysis, like a soft analysis of the information that I received. So I've heard that there have been an unequal treatment of protesters depending on their political position, which means that the management of the protest action had not been content neutral as the standard states. Also, I've heard that there have been similar responses to very different types of protests, from vigils to encampments to building occupations. In many cases, raid police that use less lethal weapons against students, and even bomb squads were sent to attend vigils in a clear disproportionate restriction of the right. Also, I've heard that the police repression at the university sanctions have affected very disproportionately migrant students from specific ethnic groups and leaderships. And in several cases, there is an alleged using of racial profiling on how to identify the people who has been participating, and also which is the sanction that they received. Also, people interviewed ensure that there has been a close alliance between the universities and the city police that had led to an increase in surveillance on campus, even with the installment of new cameras and facial recognition processes, but also online surveillance. In some cases, I've heard that universities are giving private information from students to the police, and also that the police is feeding university with information of the students' actions off campus, as if it were a plan of matching information and retaliation. I also have heard that universities have changed the rules on the go in an arbitrary way, sometimes without internal consent, mostly without consultations with the students, and with no transparency and clear information. So several students mentioned in different universities from different countries that in a single day, the rules could change 3 or 4 or 5 times. And they were talking about rules such as what can be put in the walls or the buildings, where do they protest, when do they protest, deadlines for sending notices, among others. Also heard that closing campuses, including libraries in heavy exam periods, was saying as a collective punishment to the whole student population, to either allegedly to make other students to be against protests and physically impeding them to participate. And also I've heard that violence and harassment are not coming from students themselves, but from all people called by students not affiliated with universities. So I've heard that harassment actions that includes following students to their dorm or houses, shouting at them in the streets. Even I've heard with the faculty members and some universities in the US, I received the information of a truck that was wandering around campuses with photos and names of students leading to participating in protests. And then also I've heard from several Jewish students that are participating in the protests in solidarity to Gaza, that they have felt more uneasy and insecure by the reaction of other people and not the students that are participating in the encampments, and especially people from outside the universities. I need to tell you that many mandate holders from the UN special procedures have been monitoring closely the situation with interviews and visits to universities by requesting information to governments to include analysis to the situation from their own mandates, and by sending communications to governments and universities. For example, several special rapporteurs, including me, we sent an allegation letter to the US government and Columbia University that will be public around the end of June, beginning of July, along with the response received, if any. Besides, the special rapporteur on the right of education, what was in an official visit to the US from April 29 to May the 10th. And in her exit report, she said that one of the biggest concerns during the visit was the increase in attacks of peaceful student protests across the country. So this report can be consulted in her online page. Also on May 14th, several UN special rapporteurs and other experts released a statement in which there was included and linked between international solidarity, the rights of freedom of expression, the rights of assembly, the rights of religion and belief, freedom of religion and belief, the rights of education, and of adequate housing. So this is like an interlinked connection between different rights. And in several reports that will be presented at the United General Assembly at the end of the year, we will also be analyzing also these connections between rights. So, for example, the Special Rapporteur for the Freedom of Expression will analyze the trends and challenge to freedom of expression in relation to the Gaza conflict and the situation of the occupied Palestinian territories and their broad consequences on media freedom, safety of journalists, artistic and academic freedoms, political expressions, and the right to peaceful protest. And in my case, the report I will be presented will be focused on how stigmatizing narratives affects the exercise of freedom of assembly and association, and a whole set of questions are related to the campus and solidarity movement situation. And then I invite you to contribute, to consult all these documents, and especially to get to know the model protocol for law enforcement officials to promote and protect human rights in the context of peaceful protests that was developed by my antecessor in collaboration with the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime and the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner of Human Rights. This will be the base of the standards that I will communicating with the universities before the next semester starts, but also it is going to be aligned for the analysis of whether the right has been respected or not. I think that we are seeing something unprecedented with not precedent before. All this amount of people from very different contexts, from very different countries with different cities, requesting the same, that is the cess of the fire, the release of the hostages. I think that makes a pressure on institutions like the UN and institutions and also governments that are trying to do a way of helping to resolve the situation, and it just push in the direction of the public need for a response, for a quick response, and for especially a response regarding human rights. And this is something that we from the special procedures and several rapporteurs have constantly commented about the importance to advancing resolutions, and the push that all these protests are doing are actually levering up the relevance of doing this as quick as possible, regarding as it is like the common sense of the common idea of a majority of people that is taking the streets. And I promise I haven't seen something similar in the past. Probably the protests related to the climate justice and so on have done something similar, but this is so concrete and specific. I think that this pressure is helping just to keep up the idea of resolving. I don't know how this is going to end, or which solution is going to bring, but the pressure and the participation, and especially the youth that are taking the lead, is actually something that creates a lot of support for the work that we do, and also just to push forward other actors on the same issue. This question also by somebody in the public is also relating in how can people not from the elite, that actually is the people who can go to university, are going to be able to make their rights to be also respected if the people that is in the elite are not getting their rights respected. And then I see the relation between these two issues. And this is why, for me, this has been a priority in trying to make sure that the standards are clear for the universities and for the law enforcement offices too. We have seen, and then in the event, there have been several examples of universities and cities in which things were right, the decisions were better, the approaches were of dialogue and not restricting the possibility of free speech, and also the too easy detention between security and the exercise of rights. And I now take more the responsibility on trying to figure out a way of making this a wider possibility of sending out actions to make the law enforcement to do their work, and especially the universities to comply with the exercise of the rights, taking into account that the bad example that this is setting will affect the people that will need more the exercise of the rights in the future because of this non-elite analysis, and also to the countries that have heavily restricted their rights in the past as a norm, and then will have harder the possibility to make it better. So it's not an answer, but it is for me a call to actually do a wider analysis in how this impacts the rights for another group of people, minorities or countries which have restricted rights.